welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk. My name's Artist Jackson, and I want to discuss discrimination and what it means to me. When I looked up the definition of discrimination, the definition I got is discrimination is the act of making unjustified distinctions between human beings based on the groups, classes, or other categories to which they are perceived to belong. People may be discriminated on the basis of race, gender, age, religion, or sexual orientation, as well as other categories. So to me, it's very plain what discrimination means. Basically making unjustified distinctions between people based off different categories. And today I want to go over more what one of those categories could mean. Now I will say, like, the way I hear discrimination used nowadays is that mostly in the sense of racial discrimination. To me, as a black African American male, I have experienced some discrimination myself, racial discrimination, but I would like to say that I think it's overused now to the point to where it negates the effects of real racial discrimination. And so one of the things now is like calling wolf on it. So now people don't really will start to not take it as seriously. It'll become more of a term to just use to invoke feelings instead of actually trying to right a wrong. I believe racial discrimination is bad, it's horrible. I don't condone it against any race of people. But I think we overuse racial discrimination, and we don't really look at how discrimination can be used in other ways as well. So the same people who fight for racial discrimination discriminate in other areas. And today I want to talk about one of those areas being, which is what I hear more of now, is political discrimination. You have people who are basically doing the same thing that the racist people did in the 1950s and 60s, where you had coloreds only, whites only, and these same people be like, oh, if you're a Trump supporter, I don't want to have nothing to do with you, or if you're a Biden supporter, I have nothing to do with you. And this is a form of discrimination that's not being discussed enough, I think. Now, I would like to talk about how discrimination should be used. I feel like discrimination should be used, in a way that means in more categories besides just racial discrimination. If someone discriminates against someone because of their political beliefs, I believe they're just as just as bad as a person who discriminates against someone because of their race. If you discriminate against someone because of their political beliefs, then you are indeed making an unjustified distinction between them based off their differences. Which is the same thing in my opinion, racial discrimination. Someone discriminating against someone because of their racial differences. And so if you're discriminating against someone because of their political difference, you're no better than the racist, in my opinion. And I feel like it's not justified to say I could discriminate against someone because they're a Trump supporter or because they're a Biden supporter or whatever you have it. We shouldn't discriminate against people, because we should accept people for being different. We should accept people for not being the same. And we should understand that everyone is not going to be the same. Not everyone is going to look the same way. So we shouldn't discriminate on race. Not everyone is going to have the same. We don't all have the same gender, sex. So male and female, I feel like there shouldn't be any discrimination on that. There shouldn't be any discrimination on religion. just because someone's religious views are different. So, or sexual orientation as well. I feel like, I don't believe in homosexuality, but I will still stand up and say that it's not right to treat someone wrong because of their sexuality. So I feel like discrimination in a broader term should be discussed, and what the definition of the word means versus just using it for what it's popularly known as is racial discrimination, because we face many discriminations and more than just racial discrimination. And so I think the people who say, oh, I won't talk to someone because they're a Trump supporter, or I won't talk to them because they're a Biden supporter or whatever, I think they need to reevaluate themselves and ask themselves, are you just as worse, or are you better than the racists who says the same thing? I'm not going to talk to someone or interact with someone because they're racially different than me. So that's what I think we need to have more of a discussion on. I think discrimination is horrible in any form, and so but I don't feel like we're talking that much about political discrimination, and that's what's helping to tear this country apart in the US, because people are basically treating people who have different political views like a racist did in the 1950s and 60s. At this point, I'm surprised I don't see Trump supporters only in the bathroom signs, or Biden supporters only for a water fountain. I don't feel like the line is that blurred between the two, racial discrimination and political discrimination. So I think that's something we need to have more of a in-depth look at ourselves on, and truly try to find out if we're truly discriminating against people, and if not on race, then are we doing it off political differences? Are we doing it off gender, age, religion, or sexual orientation? So I would love to I just wanted to put that out there so people can think about it a little bit. I have talked to many people about this, and I get different perspectives, so I'm always trying to keep an open mind and have different perspectives heard, but I just wanted to put mine out there. So thank you for listening to episode 2 of Let's Talk. The talk was centered around discrimination, and I'm more than happy to further discuss with people about discrimination and how we should tackle discriminations of all kinds. Thank you. God bless. Bye.